It could be the most important trip by the president of Africa's largest oil producer. His journey started with Saudi Arabia, the most significant OPEC member. Buhari's hoping to win Saudi Arabia and Qatar in freezing production to stabilize global crude oil prices. Saudi Arabia has resisted making any cuts in output to boost prices, arguing that it would simply be losing market share unless its rivals reciprocate. Just before he left Nigeria, his government capped crude oil production at 2.2 million barrels per day. From the time Buhari was sworn in, his administration raised the red flag about empty government coffers. The economy he inherited continued to be battered by receding crude oil prices. So what could rallying OPEC members mean for Nigeria?
It's a good start because what is needed now is for OPEC nations to look at their production and take appropriate steps to shore up the prices. They're all bleeding very badly because of the lower oil prices. The key thing is the swing OPEC member is Saudi Arabia and Russia. So the fact that both of them have in principle agreed for a freeze in production is a good step.
President Buhari's administration finds itself in a difficult corner if crude oil prices remain at the same level. His government made the most ambitious budget proposal. He wants to revive the country's ailing infrastructure and diversify the economy. But low crude oil prices means all that is beyond his reach. The government is already seeking for loans in billions of dollars to plug the gap. But economists here believe a surge in crude oil prices is more sustainable for Nigeria. But getting the most important OPEC member, Saudi Arabia, to cut production remains a tough road to walk for the president. The Saudis are still not keen to cut supply. Its oil ministry ruled out production cuts on Wednesday. The statement immediately punctured oil prices that had nudged up to $33 as freeze talks got underway. But industry observers think there exists a common ground for production freeze.
Keep in mind our benchmark price is $38 a barrel for the budget. Crude oil prices are trading below this. So what we now have is that there's a huge deficit that needs to be financed beyond just oil prices. Even at $38 a barrel, there was already a huge deficit of about 2.2 trillion that the budget had to be financed. Now, oil prices lower than $38 a barrel means that the deficit becomes even wider. Beyond that, you do not grow your reserves. Crude oil sales account for 95% of our dollar reserves. Therefore, if they continue to be at these low prices, we would have a scenario where the naira, unfortunately, will suffer a devaluation.
OPEC members account for 40% of global crude oil production and 73% of world-known crude oil reserves, making OPEC a significant bloc to control global oil prices. Buhari may walk out of this trip with a deal or empty-handed, but he has another opportunity to front his production-freeze strategy at the next OPEC summit next month in Qatar. Kelechi Emekalam, CCTV Abuja, Nigeria.